Hey guys, gals, and non-binary pals, and welcome to Blurrgs A Bounty, the only Mandalorian discussion show hosted by the Imperial Senate Podcast. I'm your host, Charlie Ashby, and joining me today are my fellow Bounty Hunter Guild comrades. First up is our lovable Lego King, Nicky Kumar.
Hello, everybody.
Every week. Claire sadly couldn't join us today for the discussion, but she did record some brief thoughts on the episode, so let's hear what she thought.
Hey there, guys, gals, and non-binary pals. You are watching Blurrgs A Bounty on the Imperial Senate Podcast, but unfortunately, due to some conflicts, I'm not able to be there today. I think that's been made pretty obvious by now, but anyway, I just thought I would send in a quick little video with my immediate thoughts. I'm having a lot of technical difficulties, so sorry for the awkward selfie iPhone footage, but I just thought I'd real quick tell you my immediate post-watching thoughts. So, this was an immensely action-packed episode. The fight choreography was beautiful, incredibly well done. We got to see so many interesting and creative fights between the two Mandos, Sasha Banks' character and Boba Fett, which it was awesome. We finally got to see the Darksaber come into action against that Beskar spear. I totally expected it to be Bo-Katan, but I'm actually really, really excited that it wasn't, because that gave us, well, I'm not excited for this plot line. I'm a little bit scared, but I think that Din has a little bit to worry about. He's got a target on his back for next season, because she's coming for that Darksaber, and she's going to get it the right way. So there's that. I also had to commend the music. Ludwig Göransson's Dark Trooper music was so immensely badass and terrifying and spooky, and I'm just so happy that, it happened that way. I'm so tired. It's like 4 a.m. Anyway, other than that, how could I forget? My moist moment in Star Wars this week is no doubt seeing Jedi Master Luke Skywalker fly his X-Wing into the hangar bay, ignite the green, and just go to town. And I loved the reveal at the end that we didn't get to see his face until it was all said and done. I know people can complain about the deep fakey face tuning, whatever. I don't really have any complaints with it. I never have, though. I'm always like, wow, that's really cool that they can do that, and so I'm less concerned with the thing. But I'm looking forward to Twitter ripping it apart tomorrow. But either way, we got to see freaking Luke Skywalker again, and I'm so happy, and I'm like literally trying not to cry thinking about it. So emotionally, character development wise, incredible. Watching Din finally take off his helmet and show Grogu his face, incredible. Tears for days. I'm so pleased with this finale, and that's why I have to give it 10 out of 10 Beskar. And I hope that you guys all enjoyed the episode as much as I did. So anyway, may the Force be with you, and I will catch you later. Bye.
But have no fear, joining us this week is the chief film critic at The Independent. It's Clarisse Loughrey.
Thank you so much for inviting me on. I'm really excited to talk about this very emotional thing that happened that I won't say anything more about. Mystery.
It was quite the emotional day today.
We're here for therapy.
Yeah, especially it's 1 year since Tross came out in the UK.
Yes, and also I saw Cats right before, so I saw them.
I'm so sorry.
It was one of the biggest emotional roller coasters of my life, having to go running. I had to literally run from Cats to Tross, then go home and write reviews for both of them.
Like, what was that like? Be a person afterwards. My God.
It was hard because he was trying to process both of them at the same time, and they were information overloads on two different like levels.
Yeah.
Cats was like, what? reality. What is this? Why do they all look naked? And why was Judi Dench talking about not being a dog? The mice, why were children mice? So many questions. And then I feel like Rise of Skywalker had so many sort of equally like, oh my God, what is happening?
Yeah.
Chewie in the thing and then not in the thing. And then people kissing. And it was then trying to not mix up the two. That was the thing. And not being like, yeah, I loved it when Judi Dench exploded in the spaceship, but then she didn't.
That'd be great though. That'd be a great Star Wars film.
Yeah, Judi Dench as a Wookiee. Wait, are there like Wookiees but cats in the Star Wars universe? I'm trying to think.
There are cat creatures on there.
Yeah,
I mean, the Zygerians are like the most feline kind of people, I think.
Yeah,
from Clone Wars.
Slavers.
Yeah.
Bring them in. Get Judi Dench to play one.
Judy, we need you to play a slave cat. Just like, I'm in.
I'm in. It's my favorite kind of role.
I can't imagine having to watch both those films and then try and write reviews about them, because I feel like you said, it blends in so many weird stuff, cloning, and like you're probably thinking about tanks of cat clones, probably.
Yeah, tanks of cat clones. And Adam Driver's a cat now. He's still shirtless from The Last Jedi, but it's all cat fur now. Yeah,
I'm sure there's artwork of that somewhere.
Like the idea of Palpatine having like tubes of Mr. Mistopheles clones.
Oh.
Yeah, because his little like den kind of seems like the theater at the end of Cats. So you could imagine Taylor Swift coming down from the ceiling, singing about Mr. Palpatine.
I mean, I want that. I want that film. But yeah,
me too.
What a crazy ride! It doesn't feel like it's been a year.
No, but it doesn't feel like a year period. This year doesn't count. So.
This year's really thrown a lot out the window.
I was thinking about that yesterday, because a lot of people have been saying stuff like, "Oh, I can't believe this happened this year." I'm like, well, I don't know. I can remember it happening this year. I think that's not too far away. But I was rewatching the BBC Dracula series that came out not too long ago, and that came out this year. That doesn't seem right. That threw me off for a loop. And then thinking about all the trust stuff, that seems like yesterday as well, so it just feels really strange.
Yeah, and that like the UK got The Mandalorian for the first time this year. And Disney Plus only arrived this year. It feels like I've had it forever.
Yeah. I mean, some people may have accidentally saw it other way. I don't know how.
Oopsie daisies, my finger slipped.
Yeah, like I don't know. It just came on my TV. It was really strange.
Hondo means.
Piracy. But yeah, it seems so strange. Like a year ago, we were thinking about Baby Yoda doing the healing and seeing Rey do the healing, and now, like, I just can't imagine going back 1 year and saying, "Don't worry, in a year's time, you're going to see Luke Skywalker in the show."
Yeah. And baby little Grogu's gonna run to him like a toddler, his arms open, going, "Daddy Skywalker."
That is quite the predicament as well, because you have to pick between Pedro Pascal and Mark Hamill.
Pedro Pascal, sorry.
I mean, yeah, but he hasn't got R2-D2, so it's like you gotta weigh it up.
Yeah, but he's got a mustache, so
that's true.
That's his own version of R2-D2 is the mustache.
It makes beeps.
Yeah, it does. Yeah, if you listen closely, it beeps softly.
Well, I guess we should kick off by saying what are our main thoughts on the episode. Clarisse, do you want to go first?
I was surprised how much I cried. I wept when. I mean, are we allowed to kind of go into the details already?
We'll go into like the minutiae of everything at the time, but you can just dive into that.
But to say the huge moment for me was not even Luke, it was Din taking his helmet off for Grogu and them having that moment of like father and son, and realizing that he has put aside like his entire childhood, his upbringing, all his beliefs for this little green blob. And I just, as he went to reach his helmet, I out loud alone in my flat started going, no, because I knew that I emotionally was not going to be able to handle it, because their bond is just so pure. And I think Pedro Pascal has done such a beautiful job of showing us that journey of him softening, because in season 1 he was like the, you know, man with no name, badass, like barely talks, and you see him at the end of this episode and he looks like a puppy that's been like abandoned by the side of the road. It's like so heartbreaking that he's had to say goodbye to this what is basically his son now. And I think that for me was everything.
Yes, I think it just reminded me a lot of that scene in episode 1 where Shmi has to say goodbye to Anakin. Like, the decision what they're doing is ultimately very selfless. They're letting their child go off to do something better, to better themselves. But at the same time, it's also heartbreaking because you're like, no, stay.
Yeah, it's kind of like sending his kid off for school on the first day.
Yeah.
Like, it reminds me of when my dad dropped me off at university and that last moment of being like, goodbye.
Things will never be the same, yeah.
Yeah, my dad's like not a super emotional person, but he was like getting weirdly emotional. I was like, oh my God. So I was Grogu in that moment, is what I'm saying.
Oh, I think we're all sort of like, yeah, all Din with a little tear dropping down our faces. Nikki, what did you think?
I struggled to think. It was like I watched it and I was like, I don't know how I'm supposed to talk about this in like 8 hours. Because yeah, it's so much. It's like again, like I don't know. Like, I think first of all, tremendous shout out to Peyton Reed. I think it was so well directed, and I also like, I don't know if he would have been everybody's immediate pick when they're like, who do you want to direct the finale? And I mean, yeah, full credit to him. He absolutely nailed that episode. And I agree with Clarisse, like the whole Luke thing did not pull away from those emotional stakes. And I think that is an immense like testament to how well that was not only done, but also just the groundwork laid for 15 prior chapters, you know. Yeah, just the fact that they put they put Luke Skywalker in, and we're still like gushing over this very intimate like pairing of Din and Grogu. It was powerful. It was real powerful. And yeah, I also had the very, I'm sure, unique reaction of crying my eyes out for a good few minutes while that happened. But yeah, man, it was excellent. What a way to finish the season.
Yeah, I think like shout out to everyone involved in this season, because the emotional journey that we sort of didn't go on was pretty incredible to see. The way it starts off by sort of reintroducing the concepts of the way, and how, I guess, Din, we see in the context of him, he is a child who lost his family. And so to deal with the grief and all that, and learning, is he learned this new way of life, put the helmet on, and sort of like hid away. And I guess we learned with Baby Yoda, like he sort of chipped away at that armor literally, until we get to this point in the episode where he takes away his helmet again, and he's losing his family again, but this time he takes the helmet off. And it's kind of like really heartbreaking to see him go off, but in a way, in the sense that he gets a new family again as well, with the whole Mandalorian aspect of Bo-Katan and all those cheerful Mandos in the background.
gonna be an interesting family dynamic.
Yeah.
Moving forward.
It's going to be really interesting. Considering that, yeah, a lot of bickering, a lot of
Mhm.
angst, and yeah, Mando fighting. But yeah, I really loved this episode. I knew that this episode was written for me as soon as they opened up with two of my favorite ever ships flying together. I was like, okay, look, there's an Imperial shuttle. I'm going to give this 10 out of 10. Doesn't matter. It could be the rubbish. I don't care. It's got an Imperial shuttle, 10 out of 10. But yeah, what an emotional journey to that point where, yes, of course, there's the emotional eclipse of both Grogu and Din, and then you have the whole Moff Gideon being this horrible character, really, really portrayed well by Giancarlo. But then also, yeah, you have like Luke isn't the main point of the episode, but the cake was delicious, but this was the icing, and quite frankly, the icing just makes that cake even more just better, because as soon as I saw the X-wing, I was like, oh, okay, it's just one X-wing, and then your brain slowly processes it. I was like, okay, I'm not gonna get too excited here. Then you saw the cloak, and I was like, oh god, I did that.
Yep.
Yeah, I loved the process of elimination where it's like, oh yeah, well, that X-wing could be anybody. And then you see the cloak and you're like, yeah, okay, well, lots of people own brown cloaks.
Yeah.
And then you see the boots and you're like, well, and then you see the hand, you're like, oh, well, here we go.
Yeah. Like,
and then the lightsaber comes out and it's like, okay, yeah, we get it.
He's wearing that snazzy outfit from Return of the Jedi. Like, oh god, I can't believe they brought that back. I was so happy they did that.
I was ready to see Carson Teva's face, and then like have a bunch of other X-wings come in, but then when it was like the no response, I was like, wait, like this is about to get big.
Yeah, like shout out to Dave Filoni, but if it was Trapper Wolf, I'd be like, oh, okay. You're no Luke Skywalker, okay? I'm just saying. Yeah. Oh, that whole sequence, and then with Grogu. I mean, we'll get to it. I don't want to skip too far, but the little hand on the screen, and it was just crazy to think about. I still can't believe we did this. Like, I'm thinking about back to a year ago when we had the whole "you must find its people," and we're like, oh yeah, obviously it has to be Luke or Ahsoka because they're the only two that are sort of around. But you say those things because obviously logically in the story that they are the only two around. But then your brain doesn't really process that information. You're like, well, they're not going to bring Ahsoka in. And then they did. They're not going to bring Luke Skywalker in this show. And then we're talking about it now.
Yep.
Yeah. I was the same, even just before this week. It was like, I know it has to be Luke Skywalker because, like, his whole sort of journey after the original trilogy was setting up this school and becoming a mentor and then messing that up. So I was like, well, it has to be him, but like, surely they're not going to do that because I was thinking about the practicalities of how much it costs to do the CGI reface app. I don't know what to call it. the face thing. So it's like, oh, they won't have the budget. Yeah, the deep fake thing. I don't know how they're just gonna have to do something else. And then so it was a really nice realization of like, oh wow, they're actually doing the thing that does to me make the most narrative sense. I love this.
And that's what's interesting as well. Like, and I think I appreciate from the show is that Luke being in there is narrative. Like, it is a narrative decision as opposed to. And I've seen a lot of people sort of argue this today on Twitter, like, well, they just put Luke Skywalker in because it's Luke Skywalker. It's like, well, no, like, he's a Jedi. He's like one of the remaining left. Of course he's going to come. Like, there's no one really else to show up.
Yeah, I think my stance on I don't know, fan service, if we're going to call it that, is that I really don't mind it if it is where the story naturally wants to go, and if it's following a natural course. And so, like, something that didn't make sense to me, for example, is the return of Palpatine, because it didn't fit for me in the natural flow of the story, and they did have to have Poe Dameron gather everyone around and say somehow Palpatine returned. But I feel like here they were always finding a very natural reason for everyone to be there. Even Boba Fett, the fact that they worked in with Cobb Vanth in the armor, and they gave him his own journey and like a drive to be a part of the story, instead of like them just turning up on a planet and wow, what a weird coincidence. Ahsoka Tano's also here. Like they had an actual reason to cross paths. And that for me is fine because that's sort of how the world works. Like people do cross paths and end up interlinked in weird ways. So I don't think it's so unnatural to do that.
Yeah, like I definitely agree with that. And there's also the balance of it being like it's a story. Like it's not going to be exactly like real life where like, oh yeah, I bumped into the Queen the other day. That was great. Like, and then I bumped into the world's best. Like, there's a bit of leeway.
It's like these are like purposeful decisions made by like people to tell a narrative. It's like, and yeah, like I'm also in the camp of like whenever fan service is sort of used as like a blanket criticism, I kind of like roll my eyes. Like they're not mutually exclusive. Like you can have fan service and also it can serve the story. Like it's not something that's always binary. So yeah, I agree. I think this whole season for me was a good balancing of the two.
Yeah, like I'm surprised how they introduced like Boba Fett and having all that stuff and it having a clear narrative purpose. And yes, these stuff it is there to set up spin-offs. But at the same time, if you're getting good character development and there's a clear structure to the story where that's going, why it connects to Din's journey, like who cares? Like it's fun.
Yeah, that's the thing. Like with this whole wider debate about sequels, remakes, like original storytelling versus non-original storytelling. I don't care as long as it's good.
Exactly.
Yeah, it just happens to be that it's a lot harder to tell a non-original story and make it good. But people clearly have been able to do that. I mean, Mad Max Fury Road is one of my favorite films of the last decade period. So I think like there is this weird assumption that just because something isn't new, like it can't be good. We know that's not true.
Exactly, yeah. It's a weird sort of stance that I think, I don't know, like it's a sort of film Twitter and also sometimes Star Wars fans are very finicky about these little details and stuff. Like there has to be one way or the other, and it's like it might be just simpler than that. It just it might just be fine.
That's true.
Yeah.
that's a t-shirt right there. It might just be fine.
Like sometimes it's nice just to see Slave One go and release a little bomb like goes. Like it's nice to have that, especially this year. I'm like, can we not complain about Luke Skywalker, please? Not in this year.
Grogu's small Yoda, so
yeah, exactly.
And would everyone be watching the show if they didn't have a very small version of Yoda in it? Like there's a reason they do it. It's because we all collectively like it. Even if we pretend that we don't, we do because we're watching the show. So
I saw a really weird criticism this morning that said that they felt like the whole decision of like the whole Baby Yoda aspect and everything like sort of ruined the show because they wanted a Western and that it became too Star Wars-fied. I'm like, it's Star Wars.
You saw the name slapped on that thing, right?
It's called The Mandalorian. It's not called Random Cowboy. And he happens like no, I don't think anyone really wants to see like a Western in Star Wars. Like it has to have those aspects of weird, like crazy, like Star Wars aspects, and like of course you have to have a giant sandworm when you have this cowboy story because it's Star Wars. Like sometimes I feel like if you just want to see a Western, watch a Western.
Yeah, just there are Westerns out there.
There are a lot of them.
Recommend them to this person.
It's like, yeah, or samurai films. It's like there's a lot of amazing samurai Japanese films out there. Like maybe just watch them. Like these are inspired by those stories, of course. And like it just seems a weird criticism sometimes when people are like, well, this is too Star Warsy. This is why we got Luke Skywalker in this story. Like, because he was around at this time and because it's likely that he'd interact with this thing.
Yeah, because they said they wanted a Jedi, and he's like the only one that we haven't met, kind of, in a
Yeah, it's
way.
like
So
ringing up
yeah.
Downing Street and being surprised that the Prime Minister rang you back. It's like it's not
Yeah.
a giant leap of confusion.
And that's the thing. It's like we have a story about a Jedi, so of course other Jedi are gonna turn up in the same way that like if you made a movie about Virginia Woolf, like other writers of the period might appear.
Yeah.
I think you don't watch period dramas and go like, wait, Queen Elizabeth is in this movie about Shakespeare. I hate it. Fan
Unlikely.
Like, sometimes famous people and important people, their paths cross because that's kind of how history works.
Yeah, exactly. And that's what Star Wars is as well. Like, you have to remind yourself this is some sort of weird mythic story where people do interact with it. And like you said, yeah, it's like complaining about like Shakespeare and Elizabeth meeting. Nicky, I love the idea of there being some sort of weird Elizabeth I stands who are angry.
Yeah. Well, like Achilles and Odysseus, that's ridiculous. Get out of here.
That's so unlikely.
So unlikely that two really great warriors would just be like together.
The Iliad was fan service.
That's the new hot take.
There we go. You heard it here first, folks.
Well, I know we introduced this concept for the season 2 of Free Blurrgs, and we've kind of been off and on with this new element, but I'm just going to talk for all of us and say that I feel like we should give this a 10 out of 10 this week because it's our Baby Yoda Naughtometer, where we rate how naughty Baby Yoda's been. And this could potentially be the last ever one, Nicky.
Man. Why you gotta hit me with that? I'm
sorry.
Yeah. The last one, I mean, yeah, who knows? Who really knows? It's weird. It's so weird to think about just what this show might be without him for even any extended amount of time. Even if he does come back, it's like we had one episode without him. And everyone was like, man, it was so weird not having Baby Yoda. and it's like, yeah, I mean, what happens if we go half a season, a full season without him, It's, yeah, the Nautometer, though, needs to, it's an interesting question for this week.
I feel like 10 out. We should give him a 10 out of 10. He's been a good boy. He's been through a lot.
I thought 10 out of 10 is very naughty.
Oh, is it? Oh, then 1 out. Like 0. 0 out of 10.
He's very tired this episode.
He was very tired. Bless his heart.
Yeah.
We'll give him the best rating possible. He's been good.
I don't know. Did he run a little bit too enthusiastically towards Luke?
How
he really waddled his way over, and I was like, "You're not gonna look back, sir."
Well, to be fair, he was on like Force Tinder a few weeks ago, and he was like swiping through. Like, oh, Luke Skywalker looks pretty cool. I'll go for him. I don't know if that's how that works, but I feel like it'll be funny if it's like
may as well.
Yeah. Although I felt like it was more like flies on a lamppost.
Oh yeah,
stapling around the Force lampposts, going, "Hey,
please train me."
Yeah, I'm very cute and quite naughty, so.
I love the idea of Luke like kind of being relieved that Yoda, like not relieved, but because he's upset, but he's like, wow, that Yoda, what a crazy fella, like what a mischievous fella. Well, that's that over and done with, and then like immediately gets like a voicemail from like another Yoda.
That's true. Why didn't he walk in and be like, oh my god, you're a little version of the other guy?
Do you think that when they train, he's gonna like convince Baby Yoda that Baby Yoda should wear him in a backpack?
Yes.
I want to see Baby Yoda do a backflip with Luke in like a little rucksack.
It's like, so this is gonna be awkward.
Revenge.
I'm very curious to see how Luke will be using the Baby Yoda Nautometer in the future.
Because Luke has got a very interesting, we're not even really going chronologically here, but Luke's got a really interesting way of using the Force, I guess. Like he's got a bit of dark side in him, I think, or at least he's got a lot of Vaderisms, especially like when he destroyed that last Dark Trooper with the Force. Well, that was pretty cool. Crunch. A lot of there was a great. I think Jet Lucas, the son of George, also is it Jet Zakasa? Is that his name in episode 3?
Zet Jukasa.
Zet Jukasa. Who sadly got shot in front of Bell. He works on the Mandalorian and tweeted that he purposely at home or something cut the scene of Rogue One and the corridor scene from this episode together, which I guess would be pretty cool to see done. I think someone's already done it on YouTube. Like, how quick people have been this morning. But yeah, hallway scenes. If you're in the hallway of Luke Skywalker or any Skywalker, just be careful.
Skywalkers are 2 for 2 when it comes to hallways.
Also, yeah, can I just say that the Skywalkers are very good at one specific thing, which is walking into doorways with smoke. We've got Vader in A New Hope, the first opening shot of him. You've got Leia in Last Jedi, where she shoots the door open, and Poe's like, Leia, and there's like smoke. And now you got Luke being like, hey.
They love an entrance, man.
That's true. Did Ben Solo do a little smoke thing? He was always with smoke around him.
I guess when he walks down that ramp, there's sort of like the steam, I guess, coming in Force Awakens, his first foray onto screen.
He was followed by steam.
Yeah. These shuttles with their landing ramps and their steam going everywhere.
I wish I could have that. I just walk into a room, there's always just like steam coming out for no reason.
It cut the tension. Like, hey, I'm here now. Did Ben have like a dramatic door entrance? I don't know if he did.
I don't think Ben himself did. No.
He's too much Solo in him, I think.
Yeah, and Han's always just tripping through doorways. He's
he
not
did
doing
a lot.
That glamorously.
Ben does a lot of sliding through doorways, running around. Like I think the first time we see him when he's good boy Ben, #GoodBoyBen, is when he's like just running in hexagon, like just sliding and stuff. So I guess he's got too much Solo in him, but maybe we'll see one day. We'll get like a good story with smoke, I guess.
The killing of Grogu. That's when he'll come out of the doorway.
No, he can't bring that on us. I don't even want to begin to process that information. Like,
can I say, like, my concern at the end of season 1 is I told my friends, like, hey, don't you find it really weird that we have not heard from Grogu at all during all of the sequel trilogy? You would think a very powerful little Jedi would pop up in some degree. Now I feel like maybe we have an answer.
Oh no, he's still a toddler though. He would have been like, or maybe he's like a teen. Like
he would be toddler Yoda, right? In the sequels, still young.
Yeah, but he's already pretty powerful as a baby.
That's
I'm
true.
just saying.
Maybe he's just lazy. I don't want to get involved.
I think he might have been RIP'd by the time we get to Force
Awakens.
Awakens.
Really hope not.
I mean, we thought that about Ezra, so
we did.
We got wiggle room.
And Ahsoka.
Yeah,
they got these Filoni characters there. They got a good way of cheating there.
Just to make
Are
us
they
happy.
gonna re-edit The Rise of Skywalker? So when she hears all the voices of the Force going like, use the Force, and it's just gonna be like, it's Grogu trying to talk to her.
What if Rey trains him? Because they've already mentioned that he had loads of masters, obviously, I guess, because of his age. That would be interesting.
Oh yeah, because he'd still be not probably an adult by that time.
Could be like, teen Yoda.
I don't know if I want to see that. I'm going to my room.
Very angsty.
I'm taking these blue macarons with me.
Just got a room full of blue macarons. Like a really elderly den. Like, Hello, buddy. like a Beskar walking frame.
That would be so cute. I would love that.
Well, let's go through the episode chronologically, and we'll try and because there's a lot of action shots, and we can just sort of glide through them, and I guess we can focus on that. Like I said, the episode starts with a Lambda-class Imperial shuttle being chased by Slave One. Again, I already knew this episode was written for me when I saw that. The Imperial shuttle has Dr. Pershing on board, or as we like to call him, that guy, that man.
Mr. Guy.
Mr. Guy, is that what we settled on when we couldn't remember his name? Okay, perfect. We see that really cool shot of Slave One in the cockpit, where it just rises above. Again, I still don't know how docking works with these ships, the smaller ships, but it sounds cool. The whole sequence was pretty awesome, though, with the ion cannons shooting.
Yeah. It made you think about how many times Boba's done that in his life. You're like, I need to stop this person and make money. So yeah, it was fun to just get those little glimpses of how he operates.
Yeah, definitely, and it made me feel a lot like with Squadrons when you have to like actively shoot ion cannons and then take them down as opposed to just shooting and blasting and stuff. But just nice little nod. We have an intense standoff scene with the Imperial, a really like little shit of an Imperial pilot.
Honestly, yeah.
Out of nowhere, like just this really intense dude who's played by Thomas Sullivan, who was on Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. the final season recently. He's a great actor, and he's really good at being a menacing little shit.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Like it's a mixture of obviously he's evil. You can tell by the acting, but also he's like you can't help but hate him. Like you only know this guy for like 5 seconds, and you're like, what a little dick.
He's got one of those faces,
Yeah.
Shout out to the guy who was like, I'm not part of this. Like, he tried real hard.
I relate to that.
Yeah. Also, he had a great death scream as well, because I feel like it went longer than it should have. So he like died, but he was still going, ah!
In Star Wars, gotta milk this.
Yep.
What a weird like, and the whole Alderaan thing, like that is like some sort of dig. Like I guess he knew Kara.
I think he
recognized
said the tear. I didn't.
Yeah.
Which I'm guessing was her tattoo.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, okay.
But I really liked his speech, because one thing I've found really interesting about this season is the way it's sort of grounding the politics of Empire versus New Republic in something that feels, I don't know, just kind of like familiar to us, and that the New Republic now are basically cops because they drive around in the little X-Wings, like pulling people over.
Taking notes.
Like, hey, where are you going?
Questions.
And so this guy felt like the Star Wars equivalent of like a Twitter troll, jumping into Cara Dune's mentions, being like, well, like millions of people died on the Death Star, so
That's a perfect. Yeah, he's a Twitter troll. It's like, I actually worked at the Death Star. It's like, how did you survive? I knew about it, so I got out first.
Yeah, like that would have been my first question. Why
actually,
are you here? You were on the Death Star.
I like the which one.
Mm-hmm.
Good in joke.
Yeah, it's like, okay, smart ass.
And it's Star Wars kind of being like, yeah, I know, we make a lot of Death Stars. We just think they're cool.
We won't do another one. That'd be really silly.
They absolutely will.
Yeah, I'm up for it. If they made a third secret Death Star.
Like, they just can't learn. Like, whoever is the next First Order, their first idea is, hey, why don't we try a Death Star?
This
Maybe
one's made
this
of
time.
Beskar. It's like, oh god, here we go again.
That would be amazing.
I was like thinking like maybe the Death Troopers would be made of Beskar, but I guess that would have been too far, too OP.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, the whole sequence, like you said, was a really great interrogation scene. Just seeing how these Imperials work, how like, they really do. They're sycophantic. Like they really would go down with the whole cause, which is really interesting.
And especially like this point in the timeline where you think about sort of like the chosen few who were able to leave into the unknown regions and start the First Order, and you compare them to the ones who probably got left behind. And it's like, yeah, they're probably not like these are like the scumbags of the Empire. Like they're not the like these like upper echelon, like probably like aristocratic level people who got to go, like the Grand Admirals and the yada yada. And these are more your Valen Hesses who are just kind of like the thugs, kind of living in the shadows.
Yeah, kind of like I guess working to mid class sort of people who are like indoctrinated by this horrible, I guess, regime. Which, you know, we kind of see in real life with reflections and all that jazz. Yeah, I really do like what they're doing with the Empire and sort of like showing how awful they are, I guess. Because sometimes people are like, oh yeah, the Empire, they're pretty cool. Well, not really though.
Yeah, it just feels more realistic. And I liked that they have shown the New Republic as being not flawed, but like just kind of acting like a normal government where they're a little bit like annoying and
they're absolutely new labor.
Yeah, like that's the big vibe of that. It's like, yeah, well, you're the good guys, but also you're sort of like not helping right now. So, and I think that just makes it's important to have that comparison to understand like the evils of the Empire, because it's not like life isn't always like, you know, a straight line of good versus evil, but it's still pretty obvious which side to pick at the end of the day, you know?
Yeah, for sure. And I feel like that was one of the criticisms with the sequel trilogy. People were saying, but why would the New Republic do this? Like, why would they have so much indecisiveness and inaction towards literally a group of people called the First Order who their police force happened to be stormtroopers who have TIE fighters and stuff and don't want to get involved in a battle. We do see that in real life. We do see like governments being, oh, we can't be too harsh to these people because it might hurt their feelings. And then they end up invading and wiping out the New Republic.
Yeah, I mean, it is sort of like frighteningly just real life.
Leave the fascists alone and they will go away. Like that's not what happens.
The guy was literally named after Neville Chamberlain in Force Awakens.
Yes, true.
the peace in our time Chancellor of the Galaxy.
it's gonna be fine. Like nothing bad will happen. And yeah, I guess we saw what actually happened with Starkiller Base.
Oops.
We then cut to a new planet where we see the Mandalorian Gauntlet ship, which again, seeing that in live action is just so cool. I think they made that design for episode 9, right? In the background, they must have just reused that. Island must have just reused that shot, but it was pretty cool to see that. In the bar where we introduced the Lady Bo-Katan and Cosca Reeves, didn't ask for their help in return for the Darksaber. The Mandalorians pick a fight with Boba Fett and mock his heritage as a clone. This sequence was interesting.
Let me say one thing first. Sasha Banks, we're watching you. You told us you were only in one episode. So we're on to you now, Sasha. Yeah, that's all I
guess
got.
That's yeah. Like, I think sometimes we're so used to some actors like not like knowing the details of things, but we're like, okay, well maybe they're a bit confused or something. But in this case, I feel like she knows what she's doing. She's very, very clever, and I feel like
there's nothing to stop them from lying. That's why I've always wondered about actors. You know, when they ask people like, "Oh, have you been cast as this?" Just say no. Like nothing's gonna happen if they find out you're lying later.
They're gonna
you're not
fire
gonna go to actor jail.
It's like, oh, I guess you don't want to be in it then. Okay.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, Marvel's not gonna turn around and be like, "Oh, so you don't want to be Kate Bishop? Well, get out of here, Haley Steinfeld."
Yeah.
You know, just say no. Yeah,
Give back the bow now.
What is that? Never heard of it. Seems gross.
I think Mark Hamill did the same thing where he like just stopped talking about Star Wars on Twitter. And
Mhm.
people are like, well, Mark Hamill said he's not going to come back to Star Wars again. We should believe him. I'm like, why?
Yeah, it's
They
that
lie.
that great Variety article quote where they asked him about all the new stuff, and he's like, "Well, they got a lot to tell, and I'll tell it." It's like, okay, Mark, here we go. Great answer. It's like, oh, okay, maybe he's got some hands in things.
But yeah, I thought that was a really cool scene in the bar where we see a little bit of conflict between the Mandalorians. We see a little bit of an edge towards Bo as well, because I feel like people who are introduced to her character in The Mandalorian, they might not have seen Clone Wars or Rebels. They might have watched her first time around, and even though she does that sort of mocking, this is the way line, they might be like, oh, she's purely good, like she's a purely good character. Whereas we know that her past is a bit more, trickier than that.
Mhm.
There's the domestic terrorism of it all.
A small thing on her record.
Whoops, my bad. I feel like there's so much interesting dialogue there, and with Boba as well, like being like, "Oh, I guess I'm not a Mandalorian. Sorry," like because they're like, "Oh yeah, a few weeks ago we are going to complain about this cult, and now we're going to complain about Boba because he doesn't fit into our particular
Mhm.
view of what a Mandalorian is." It was really interesting to see.
Yeah, the sort of
It
like
seems,
anti-foundling
yeah.
thing.
Yeah, and it seems like if I had to guess where the show goes next, like you set up this sort of like three-way battle between the different types of Mandalorians. And I wonder whether the ultimate thing is like, well, if you want Mandalore back, like you three are gonna have to learn how to get along. And we're just gonna have like two seasons of them like constantly bickering. And then they finally put their differences aside, they all take their helmets off and they have a nice cup of bone broth and they sort their problems out. Like it seems like they were really laying the groundwork for something, and
Yeah,
in this scene and like kind of other interactions in the episode.
Yeah, it's like basically you can distill Mandalorian culture into that bar scene.
Yeah.
like that's the whole thing. And it's like, how dare you say Boba's not Mandalorian? He's ready to throw down in a bar like on the spot. Like, come on. But yeah, it's like that is them. They will fight because it sounds like a fun idea kind of thing. So yeah, it's definitely setting up a huge arc for not only the characters, but yeah, like learning what this culture is going to be.
And I guess as well, like it's not like, from Boba's point of view, it's not the fact that she's questioning his role as a Mandalorian. It's questioning his dad's role.
Mhm.
It's questioning Django's role, and then it's questioning his heritage at all. That really, in my opinion, a really shitty line about him when she says, he goes, "Oh my, it's my father's armor," and she goes, "Don't you mean your donor?"
Mhm.
I'm like, whoa, calm down, Bo. Like, I don't think you're like the worst person to talk about family,
Mhm.
considering that you fought yours like for like years, and then we're like, oh yeah, by the way, you're my sister. I forgot. Whoops, my bad. Like I thought that was a really interesting line, and like the way that people view clones in the galaxy now.
Mhm.
And I guess as well, like I appreciate there might be some bad blood with the clones post Siege of Mandalore. The whole Order 66 of it all, probably like, the enforced occupation.
That wasn't great.
Wasn't a great thing to have, but also like it's not Boba's fault, and that doesn't mean that it's not his dad. So I thought that was an interesting like conflict of them both having sort of like digging at each other, and seeing that these characters aren't perfect, which I do appreciate as well. And I feel like you're right. We're going to see like a big build up towards reclaiming Mandalore, and somehow that will involve these tribes all coming together and sort of dealing with that fracture. In fact, I think, yeah,
it feels like it makes sense for her character, but it does feel weird in the long run of things. Like if you're so intent on bringing back the culture and getting your kingdom, your planet back. Why are you actively pushing Mandalorians away? Like, that would seem like, you kind of need like a bit of an army to do things and reclaim planets and establish kingdoms. Like,
Exactly. Yeah, I feel like that was one of the issues with the entire thing in the first place. Because we saw in Rebels, Bo lead this army, and then be like, "We're gonna take Mandalore back," and then like, the next thing we see is that Moff Gideon has the Darksaber. So like, well, that didn't go well, clearly.
Yeah.
So maybe rejecting or neglecting a whole group of people just because of their religious reasons seems like a weird thing to do.
Yeah, I
Like,
mean, it's like the cornerstone of like faction drama, though, right? Like,
exactly.
I mean, like, I know, like, even within the context of Mandalorians, there's been a comparison to like Game of Thrones. Like they've used the same language of like these houses and blah blah blah, and it's like, how many times in that show is like, if you just like allied, you would have won, right? like if you would have just like chilled out for like 2 seconds, you could have like wiped the field with all these people. And it's very much the same here, where it's like it's like you can win if you like we're not so Mandalorian.
They can't help it, can they?
Yeah, it's like it's just in their nature. I mean, that's what's always cool. It's like these are the like the paradoxes of characters. Like that's what always makes them compelling. It's like the warrior society who can't stop fighting each other,
And I think, yeah, the thing that really pointed out the fact that they are the same, even though they claim differences, that moment where they both shoot the flamethrower at the same time, which is pretty awesome. And that WWE jump with the jetpack.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. That was very WWE. I was like, oh, yeah.
She knows what she's doing.
That's her, like, other job.
Yep.
That's cool. Don't know how you could do that, but it's still cool. I'd love to do that with a jetpack. One day. Then we cut to them on the Imperial Shuttle on Slave One. They're having a plan. It's very Rebels-esque plan into a giant cruiser. Then having the misdirection out of the way and getting there and sneaking off and doing all that stuff. I really like this scene. I love how Dr. Pershing immediately turns on a dime.
Yeah. We love a good coward, man.
Hey, I don't give I have no like bone in this.
Well, to be fair, he was very like. Do you remember in season 1 where he came to rescue Baby Yoda, and he was like, "Yeah, take it. It's cute. It's cute. I like it. Just take it." Like I think he's never really had his heart in this. He's like the character who's like, I only believe in science.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm sure if Moff Gideon had you on a leash, you're gonna say, "Oh yeah, well, I won't fail you again, sir. I'm not gonna mess this up."
Right.
And as soon as you get saved, you're like, "Look, this are the details. This is where he's being held. Here's his bank account details. Get rid of him."
Just mouthing like, "Help me."
Like, "Oh, Din, you're horrible," and like he's ringing on like, "Help."
And he doesn't show up in the rest of the episode, allegedly, meaning he's still on the table going into the future.
I am interested if that ties into the Boba stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Because
the
clone of all. I want to see like I was really hoping we'd see Kamino this episode. So I'm gonna, rather than admit defeat, I'm just gonna keep the long game going and say that we might one day see Kamino, because he has the Kamino patch and they say he's a cloner in this episode. So you never know.
Yeah. Still on the table.
Yeah, because what are your I get are they gonna keep going with that presumably and tell us what he's cloning?
You would think so, right? Like that's the thing. Like
they really like didn't answer it at all, and it now seems like the story's going in a completely different direction.
It's gonna be. It has to
Palpatine.
be Palpatine.
I thought it was Snoke, because my understanding is Palpatine's already around at this point. but maybe he like offloaded the Snoke cloning onto somebody else because he was like a little like half working body host at that time. So he was like, let's get other people to build Snoke for me. And
I feel like
just...
Snoke
Yeah.
is the failed clone kind of thing,
Yeah.
right? But it's all serving the purpose of bringing him. I mean,
Yeah.
we started with the Siege episode and sort of like this idea of that feeling very, oh, this is the move. But then in this one, again, just skipping a little bit forward, when Gideon's like, he has the abilities to bring order back. We're like, oh shit.
Yeah, I think that's
Yeah.
direct.
Yeah.
Like Palpatine. He
Mhm.
means Palpatine. Yeah, my impression was like you say, like Snoke was a failed clone, and Palpatine could only bring himself back to a certain amount, like using the dark science. So he like his body is like really that creepy decrepit one. Like that's like it must maybe like the decays really quickly or something.
Mhm.
So he has to generically use this. Well, that's what I like about Palpatine is that he always makes the best of a situation. So it's like, look,
He's adaptable.
yeah, it's like I've got this like ton load of dodgy clones. I'm gonna take one, make a sad like backstory, so everyone was like, oh, it's really sad. Like, oh, poor Snoke. Like he got hurt by the Jedi. He got hurt by Luke. We should feel bad for him. And Ben's like, oh, what a lovely guy. When really it's just like, oh, it's a dodgy clone. I got stuck in the washing machine, and now we've got Snoke. Like I feel like he's what he just does, like, and that's what he's going to be using, which I think is interesting. Still, like the idea of like the blood and the midichlorians being used for this like creepy body that he ends up having, and then that's why he tries to go with the whole Rey thing. It's like maybe her body will work better. It's Daisy Ridley. She's got great freckles. Palpatine just wanted freckles. That's his game plan.
That's the like I love that. That's the chart. You get like Palpatine on one end and Daisy Ridley on the other.
Palpatine's like, towards... she works out a lot.
Yeah, she is fast.
I need those abs, if you know what I mean. And then he's like, that's one of my favorite moments from episode 9 because it's like he doesn't know about the dyad. It's just a happy coincidence. And he's like, oh, neat. I don't have to get Daisy Ridley. I can just be me again. Cool. I'm going to kill you now. But yeah, skipping a bit forward, but it's still, I love that silly stuff. I guess, yeah, we have the whole Rebel sequence where they sort of like crash the ship into the thing and then Boba just yeets out there. And I was like, we're not going to see him again for the rest of the season? Like, is that it? Is that him like, I'll be back later. Don't get takeaway without me.
It's gotta go.
Yeah, presumably he's picking them up, right? Because they're gonna have to like chill and wait for him, or are they just gonna stay in that ship forever?
Well, they must have, right? Because of the post-credit scene.
Yeah.
But they also have a nice new cruiser to themselves.
True, but it just makes me think that he was like circling the block while this whole thing was happening, like during a heist.
I'm gonna go to the shops quickly.
Yeah, no, pop back. Yeah, it's been about half an hour. You're probably done now, right? Yeah.
Anyone want anything?
I feel like because I was saying this earlier because someone was like, why didn't he come back in that time? I was like, the reason is like he doesn't want to hang out with Luke. Remember the last time they hung out?
Oh god, yeah.
Like, I just fixed this jetpack. I'm gonna like I've just painted it again. I'm gonna just hang out for a bit.
That would have been a hilarious like meetup. He's like, oh no.
It's like that Robot Chicken sketch with the Wampa.
Uh-huh.
And Luke and the Wampa are like,
yep.
Oh, good stuff. We see some really cool badass action with Fennec, Koska, and the other character. Which I thought was really cool. Like, I was really excited to see Fennec actually be cool this season. And because that was the thing that really bothered me about season 1 is that they introduced this character and say, this character is one of the best bounty hunters in the galaxy. and then she gets killed, or we thought killed by Douche Rendar, as I like to call him. And I'm just so glad that we get to see her be more badass and why she gained this notoriety. And it's pretty cool. And yeah, obviously seeing Bo-Katan, Koska, all of them fighting together, Mandalorian action, just cool.
I liked that it was for women. It made me think, Saoirse Ronan and Little Women, when she's like, women. I don't know if you've seen that meme. I felt a little bit like that because, for me, it's not often that I get to watch Star Wars or any kind of big movie where 4 women are teaming up to do something and all being really good at it. So
and it wasn't like Avengers Endgame where it felt like, we're women and we're together and we're gonna fight the bad guys. It was these people on a mission and they happen to be individually very good at what they do.
Yeah, like I imagine they did it on purpose, but yeah, as you said, they didn't do this thing of like one at a time, like coming out of the ship, like I'm a woman, I'm a woman, I'm a woman, and I'm also a woman, and we're all here. They just were all there, and it was normal.
Exactly, yeah, that makes so much of a difference, and it's the way that I think the other characters treat them as well. Like Boba doesn't go, "This is my partner because she's the cool like woman." Like he's just like, "No, this is Fennec. She's badass. Like that's why she's my sidekick." Well, not sidekick. They're like a partnership. This awesome duo. Like he's not like I just helped her out, so that's it. Like.
Yeah, and there's no like Bo-Katan being like, why do I always have to pick up after the boys? Which is I think Black Widow said that at some point in one of the Marvel movies, and I really didn't like that. So like, yeah,
you men always cause trouble. Luckily, I'm here to save the. Yeah, it's just Bo-Katan being like shooting stormtroopers, shooting fascists, and that's all that matters.
Oh, I'm gonna catch cooties. Like they're all just there to do their job, and like the gender of the character is irrelevant, and I liked that.
Absolutely. We see the Dark Troopers, who are formidable, and apparently are created by Apple because they need to be charged every like 5 minutes.
Yeah.
Like the introduction is like, these are the most dangerous troopers. They last for about 40 minutes, but I tell you what, and they need to be cooled down. They have to have a fridge connected to it. I like the idea, like how much did it cost to make an Imperial fridge destroyer?
Yeah, I really like the Dark Troopers, but also they look so much like, I don't know what they're called. They're not the Legos, and they do Star Wars.
Bionicle.
Ones. They look like Bionicle.
Yeah, they do.
And I always have to sort of be like, they're not just big Bionicles, they're droids. Just remind yourself of that every time they're on screen.
I really laughed out loud when, not like in a negative way, because I love like Ludwig Göransson. I don't think we say enough about, give him enough praise for all the stuff he does, like the music. But the dubstep that came out of nowhere.
So good. Be like, they would have dubstep.
Yeah, of course they would. Like the dubstep droids. That's what I'm going to call them now. They're the dubstep droids. They, out of nowhere. It's like, okay, cool. I can see where this is going. Like, they're in their fridge. They're waking up.
Yeah, it's like they're waiting for the beat to drop, so they just have to like charge up, and then the beat drops, and then they just go.
And they love punching things. They just love punching doors, which I can relate to. 2020 mood is just punching doors and trying to get through.
Yeah, and kind of the Terminator thing of like, I'm just gonna keep doing it because eventually I'll get through.
I love the I just love the continuous punching of Din's face, and like the helmet, the like helmet taking it was like the funniest part. Like that, like did that Dark Trooper not realize like he wasn't doing anything? Like he's like, why is this not working?
Especially when later on he takes the helmet off and he's like perfectly fine.
Mm-hmm.
Like what a great helmet that is.
Beskar baby.
Like, there's a foam.
Yep.
Memory foam all inside of that.
Yeah, it's got really like a squished face like inside, and the fact that it was punching so hard that it dented the back of the wall as opposed to the helmet. I thought that was a really cool detail.
Yeah.
I really like the way that it took a bit of an effort to get rid of just one, so it sort of amped up the fear and the threat of all of them coming out. Then they got shot out into space, and I was like, oh, well, no. I'm so sorry to all the Screen Rant articles that were written about that. But, yeah, that's pretty cool. And then obviously, Din runs off, finds Gideon, who has Grogu with a sword to his head. And when Giancarlo Esposito was like telling his daughters, I think he said this in interviews, he's like, I'm gonna kill the little shit. I was like, he was not joking around. He was threatening this kid.
He's still got the little tiny handcuffs on, which I love. I'm obsessed with little tiny, tiny little handcuffs.
My favorite theory about that is that someone said it's retaliation or like preparation for the Ewoks.
Oh my god, no.
And someone's like, look, the Empire, like, look, we're not getting into this again. We find some Ewoks, we've got to arrest these guys because these are dangerous.
That's horrifying.
I guess there are so many species of alien that they must like go in the storage room and there's just handcuffs of all different sizes.
It's like a bowling alley where you have like all the different shoes. It's like, oh yeah, what size wrist is it? It's like a 4. Okay, here we go. Don't forget to spray that out when you're done.
One of my favorite tweets from last week was on, no, not last week, the week before. I think it was Nick on Twitter said, baby manacles never worn. The saddest story ever told. I was like, perfect, absolutely perfect. Obviously, Gideon talks about bringing order to the galaxy, and like we said, the blood could potentially be connected to Palpatine. I feel like we're going to get more exploration of that, even though he's been arrested now. We're going to get a bit more of Gideon. And I feel like one thing I had not like a major issue with, but I think they've done a better job with this season, is that the way Moff Gideon's dialogue was written in season 1 was a bit too on the nose. Like it felt like he was reading like a Star Wars.com entry, or a Wikipedia entry. Like when he goes, the E11 web cannon, first seen in The Empire Strikes Back. It shoots stuff, and you're like, okay, like I don't think it's his fault. I think it's the dialogue, the way the dialogue was written. Whereas in this episode, he does a really good job at explaining like how if you have the Darksaber, that means you rule Mandalore, and there's like a complete sort of a bit of fear, a bit of like threat towards his voice in this one, which I really appreciated a bit more.
I think my favorite thing about his character is this idea, and that dialogue that you're talking about kind of helped reinforce that in season 1, is this thing that his form of manipulation is to always appear as the most reasonable man in the room. Like he's never actively trying to like, oh, but if you do this and do this, he's just, he's going, well, I'm just laying down the facts here. I'm just completely neutral in this. This is just what's happening.
Yeah, but, very matter of fact.
Yeah, and so it's interesting because it makes him always seem like he wants to be a friend to somebody or be an ally. It's saying like, look, I'm not doing this out of spite. I'm not doing this to hurt you. This is just the way that things are. And that to me is incredibly sinister because I don't know, the idea of someone like trying to use logic and facts to like justify pure evil doing. Like that's like
damn it,
scary.
we're screwed.
Yeah.
No, yeah, I think that all like feeds really well into this scene with them in the little detention room because yeah, it very much reminded me like I was ready to believe him when he's like, I'll walk, because if it goes back to the thing of last season where he's like, it's like, all you can trust I will act in my self-interest, and right now that serves me, and it's like, you being alive works for me right now. So like I almost got that feeling of, okay, yeah, he'll do what like helps him out. So it was just a nice little way to like twist it, and I think it also helped. I think we talked about Palpatine being adaptable. I think he's just as much, the same with the way he sort of saw the opportunity, or like in knowing Bo-Katan was here, and knowing the history of the Darksaber, and knowing this guy. I don't want to say he threw the fight, but like he knew that he could cause a rift here. Like it's like playing playing like 3D chess like against these people, because it's like, yeah, it's not just about being beaten. He's gonna ruin their little alliance too while he can.
Yeah, that's a good point. And he's definitely really good at using the information that he has on hand. Like the way he talks about how he knows who's with him, especially in season 1, like the backgrounds there, like he knows that Kara's from Alderaan, he knows Din's name and all that stuff. It adds to that threat of you don't know quite how he knows this stuff. So I guess, and he's very clearly intelligent. It's the way that he's willing to like manipulate those details about the Darksaber and stuff was pretty interesting to see as well. And he definitely revels in it as well. I think he loves the power structures and the way things can shift really quickly. I feel like,
yeah, I mean, shout out again, million shout outs to Giancarlo, because like when he's there like grinning through bloody teeth in the the bridge, it's like, oh my god, he's loving every second of this.
He's kind of like the security, like the mall cop who has the CCTV footage, and like they've caught the person shoplifting, and instead of showing the footage straight away, they're like, well, I know that you were here and you did that. Like that's sort of like the smugness of it, and like he knows that he's right, and he knows that he is gonna cause this rift, and he's just like reveling in it for a second. It really made me think of that. Not that I've ever been caught for shoplifting. I'm not saying this happened to me. No, like it hasn't. I'm just saying, I know that is what they act like.
As long as you went in a room with bloody teeth, grinning, and be like, you don't know what I stole. Like, you own the store now. If you stole this in battle, you own the store. Let's see what else we got.
The Beskar Darksaber fight,
so good,
was amazing.
And the way the Beskar looks like it's heating up, but doesn't necessarily like melt.
Yeah,
pretty cool as well.
Yeah, I definitely want to like go back and watch the Ahsoka Morgan fight again and see like what details sort of carried over from that. And because there were some cool, there's some cool stuff. There were like some, Mando did that one move where he like kicked it behind him and it like flipped back up, and yeah, it was cool. And I think it was also like this idea, I don't remember who I talked with this about. It could have been on our show, I can't remember because everybody talks about the show, but like it, I think there's a question of like Din getting a spear and being like, are we like 100% sure he knows how to use that thing? Like, and then it's like, okay, yeah, he knows how to use it. Yeah.
I'm sure they're like fishing training or something. Classic Mandalorian spear throwing. Yeah, it's just really cool to see him use that, and obviously like the Darksaber in action and Moff Gideon, because I know that Giancarlo mentioned before, like he knows how to use it, but we never actually see him use it. Like we don't know if it's just a symbol of power, or if he actually knows what he's doing, and he does, and it's pretty cool to see.
I also love his thing about breaking the prop like multiple times. It's like, okay, yep, I mean, I can see why, yeah.
Definitely see why they go into some shenanigans there. We then see him gloating about how Din won the Darksaber, therefore he's the rightful ruler of Mandalore. And I really love how Din's like, okay, well, there you go. Like, I don't care about this.
and now it's hers.
He's like, you can't just do that. He's like, why? This is stupid. And it's like, yeah, there has to be a story.
I love for them to have just been exchanging it. Like he gives it to her, she gives it back, and they're just like doing that for 20 minutes.
She should just slapped it out of his hand and be like, "There you go, that's the battle."
Couldn't they just pretend? I mean, he said it's all about the story. It's like 7 Minutes in Heaven. They go in the closet and they come out being like, "Whew, we had a real good fight. Good job, Bo. There you
They're
go."
both smoking. Like,
Yeah,
what a fight that was. One for the storybooks.
exactly. Like they don't actually have to do it. No one will know if they go in a closet and do it.
It's like New Girl is going to be Din on the side of a building, like trying to get out. But I mean, what a great like sequence. I love the idea that again, even Bo has got flaws, or at least like it. Like she kind of mocked Din for sticking towards his archaic views and stuff, whereas she's still doing the exact same thing hypocritically, which is like. But also, I need to follow these stringent rules about owning the sword.
Again, it goes back
yeah.
to the bar fight where it's like they literally just can't not be themselves sometimes, right? Like it's like the solution is staring you in the face, and it's like you just can't not just like you just can't do it because this is their like critical flaw in being themselves. So yeah, I thought I really loved that scene, and sort of again that idea of like we know Bo of having this sort of like past of being an antagonist and not being on the side that we're like aligned with, and it's a fun way to reintroduce that and have this notion of, oh, Bo is not like, it's not guaranteed friend, and what that sets up for the seasons, who knows how many seasons ahead.
Yeah, and I think her face, like, there was a really good like change in her facial expression where it went hard, like very, very sudden. And it's like that sort of like, yeah, it's like the antagonistic side of her was coming back out again because, you know, I think to some degree she was presenting herself as, you know, I'm just one of your buddies that you met along the road, like all the other buddies that you met and made instant friends with. And now that she knows that like he's, you know, he is the barrier to what she wants, it's like snap into different, you know.
Yeah, and it's like then they set it up when she's like, he has to surrender to me. Like, it's funny how she goes in explaining the rules to everyone, and like and then the idea of that not happening. I feel like that's a very relatable thing when you've like made something very clear and then the people you're with just go and do something else, and you're like, guys, I said this is what we do. So yeah, I think it's really cool tension. And again, Gideon was eating up every second of it because he's that kind of guy. He's the messy bitch. He lives for drama.
That's a t-shirt.
Yeah, just his face, messy bitch. He lives for drama.
I mean, yeah, there's so much to delve into, and I feel like that's going to be the core of the show going forward. And I think, especially with like the way that they framed this in the recent Disney Investor Day, is that these new spin-offs that take place at the same time as Mando and Mando are all going to build up to one major event like Avengers or that sort of thing. My opinion is that they're going to build up towards either a civil war or more likely like the Siege of Mandalore 2, where they all come together and try and reclaim Mandalore. We have like Ahsoka and Boba Fett and everyone like that all coming together and stuff, which I think is pretty interesting. And I think having to explore that in different shows will be a great way to build up and ramp up that story. What we see in this episode has me excited more so for that because, you know, Bo's got an interesting past. I wonder it'll be interesting if she gets her own focus. We get to see a bit more about that backstory, with the sister and everything and all that jazz. Be cool to see.
I'll be interested to see like if they are doing Siege of Mandalore 2, like how they're gonna fit that into the timeline, because it feels like they're also trying to do like all the background work for Rise of Skywalker, all the stuff they kind of didn't explain. So because that's the thing to me, it's like I can see how all the, like Boba and Bo-Katan and so like they're all kind of heading in the same direction, and that makes sense to me. But now with this this Palpatine cloning Snoke, whatever that direction that's going in, I'll be interested to see how they try and make those run parallel or actually make them fit in together.
Yeah, I feel like it's not going to be outright telling the audience, but it will be like dropping major clues along the way. I mean, just even the clone tanks a few episodes ago, to me was like, okay, cool, like this, because they're playing Snoke's theme. They're talking about midichlorian counts. I was like, so I guess like they're starting to do this sort of thing. I hope we do see a bit more focus on the First Order in general and the New Republic. Judging by this season, I guess they are going to be doing more of that. Especially if the New Republic don't get involved with the whole Mandalore issue. That'd be interesting.
The small matter of Grand Admiral Thrawn being somewhere.
Oh yeah, that too. That fella.
Yeah. It's
Pierce
gonna
Brosnan
be
coming in singing "Mamma Mia." But in blue.
Imagine if they actually get him.
I mean, I really do hope it's Lars Mikkelsen, because, like, I don't know about everyone else, but I actually do think that the character model is based on him.
I think it definitely work. Yeah. I think
like,
that
paint blue.
Those cheeks.
Definitely.
Yeah.
But also, I wouldn't be like against it if Pierce Brosnan. I remember when we were all at Celebration and we saw that artwork, we were like, "Come on!"
They weren't even trying with that one. That was just him. Like, it was just him.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And they painted it blue.
Yeah. Fascinating.
It's like a Mamma Mia promo still. Just painted the Thrawn outfit on him.
It's like insert clip of Dave Filoni going, interesting.
I love those, like, just not telling you anything, but also be like reveling in the you not knowing.
Yeah.
And then the Dark Troopers come back. A lot of fear, a lot of threat. That was the moment in the episode where I was like, okay, now I'm scared, because Gideon has covered the blaster with his cloak doing that. I was like, well, that's no good.
And
we no good.
And we don't get resolution of the Darksaber, right? Like there's a lot left unsaid still, because they come back, and I think like it was also really, again, just like from a fan brain kind of thing, like seeing Din clip like the Darksaber onto his belt. I was like, whoa. Because it's like, we still don't know how that's gonna shake out. But yeah, the Dark Troopers are not done yet.
Yeah, we see them come onto the ship, and I guess for me that the tension was building up. Like I was like, is a character gonna die here? Like, is it gonna be like? I was really worried about Fennec. I was worried.
She was standing right in front of him. I was like, move! Don't be there, please, God, don't be there.
Poor little Grogu on the floor, like completely like knackered, tired. And then
taking a nap the whole way through this.
It's hard. Like, I'm just a stay here, which again, totally relatable. Let's just get into this, because I mean, an X-wing appears, and I was like, okay, pretty cool. Then, like we said earlier, everything just starts to click into place. Grogu reacts, puts his hand on the screen. We see the green lightsaber ignited, and I mean, it's Luke Skywalker. The badass is back. We have a badass hall scene. Then we see Gideon out of nowhere tries to kill Bo and Din, shooting at the Beskar, which seems like a really bad idea to do. Like, out of all the people in that room, you're gonna shoot them. Probably not the best idea.
Din laying his body on the line for Grogu, of course.
Yeah, and then that moment where he tries to like commit suicide with the blaster, which I thought was really interesting. I was really glad they didn't just kill him off there. Like, it would have been so easy for any other character, like filmmaker, to be like, and then they kill him, and then we get a new villain.
Well, I mean, it was also really cool because as Luke is working his way towards them, you've taken a character who is reveling in being in control and manipulating all these people to now being scared.
It's the first time we've seen him fearful, I think.
Yeah, and I don't know, like, I think, there's different ways you can look at it. I think for me it was, this could have been like the first time in his life he wasn't in control anymore, and that freaked him out. And he didn't like that. He didn't like that uncertainty. Whether he knew it, like what he knew about Luke Skywalker, I don't know. But I like the read on him that, yeah, just not knowing was enough to freak him out. And yeah, that sort of like act of desperation to take someone out, because he was so like, and the Dark Troopers will kill everyone except for me and the child. And yeah, just having that all flipped on its head, and that like last desperation thing of trying to cause some havoc. It was really cool. But yeah, I think it's infinitely better that he's now in captivity, allegedly.
And then why don't we just wrap this up by talking about the last bits of the episode. Din saying goodbye to Grogu. Which I feel like we all knew was coming, but we didn't want to admit it. They've been building up all season. No matter how prepared you feel like you are, there is no way we were going to emotionally deal with this. And the callbacks, there's so many thematic, like, I know it's the generic Star Wars quote about it being poetry, it rhymes, but it's true. Seeing little Din, who's just seen his parents killed, and he sees the Mandalorian reach out to him, and he reaches up. And for Baby Yoda, that's the exact same thing that happened to him. He saw a Mandalorian above him reaching his hand out, and he did the same thing. And now we're seeing that like story wrap up, and then him putting his hand out one more time to reach for the face, and it was just so emotional. Like you said, when he took the helmet off, he had a little sound, and
the fact they went out of the way to give him the nickname Brown Eyes right before, and then you're looking at the brown eyes, and he had such sad brown eyes.
He was like, yeah, properly crying, and it's just, I like the idea of him having to emotionally, even though he's found a family in terms of the Mandalorian culture, like he's put himself into that, but he didn't fully allow himself to have a family until he met Grogu again. Mm-hmm. And now he has to say goodbye to the family again, which is just devastating.
I love the he doesn't want to go with you. It's like he needs your permission, kind of like he needs you to know. He needs to know that you'll be okay, kind of thing.
And I really appreciated Luke not being forceful.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I really did appreciate the fact that Luke was like, no, look, he needs your permission to go. This is good for him. And Din knows that it's what he has to do as well.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, yeah, and Grogu.
Yeah.
You can't vocalize it to him, but like, yeah, I think it's amazing how much they give that puppet like a character, and I could actually tell what was going through the puppet's head at that time. Because what Din was going through was the same thing that Grogu was going through, but he knows in his heart that he has to go to train and to teach and be a Jedi because that's his destiny. And so, yeah, it's interesting in this little tiny little like block of green thing, going through the same motions as like an adult man who went to acting school. I thought was great, and the mirroring of it, and the way that, yeah, it really is Grogu's choice to do that. He wants to do it because, like, yeah, I saw some people saying that, oh, but this is bad because they're tearing the bond and this is the start of the dark side. But it's like, no, because like Grogu, this is his choice. He said, "New dada, please," and goodbye, bye, old dada. New dada, waddle, waddle, waddle. To Luke.
And we also have to remember that, like, he is 50 years old in terms of he's still a child, but also he has been through a lot, and he actively like went out of his way to not use the Force. So that must have been a really big deal on his part to like be like, well, actually, do you know what? I feel like I can do this. I can continue and learn to train my abilities, and I shouldn't be afraid anymore. Even though my new master's dad is the guy that butchered my friends.
Yeah, was he not like, wait a minute, you look familiar?
Kind of,
Wait a minute,
it's gonna be a
Skywalker?
fun detail to work out. Oh man.
Do you think like the first lesson, Luke's like, okay, today's lesson, we're gonna bring a special guest in. It's my father, Anakin Skywalker, and it's like a ghost appears, and Grogu's like,
Anakin's like, Grogu, what's up, my man? And he just waddles away. He's like, nope.
I joked that in The Last Jedi, I know Luke's X-Wing's in the sea in Ahch-To. That isn't Luke, like, after the whole thing with Ben. That isn't Luke landing and, like, deciding he doesn't want to speak to anyone anymore, like, and throwing away the X-Wing. That's just Grogu, like, taking control of the stick, like, with the Razor Crest and just crashing it, and then being like, well, not getting that back.
He stole a knob that was a vital piece of the instrument.
That's what I said. I said to our good friend Saf, I said, do you know what's going to crush our hearts? She's like, why do you do this, Charlie? Why do you say these things? I was like, you know that in season 3, there are going to be scenes where Din is like by himself looking at the little ball.
Oh no.
And it's going to break our hearts.
But he's gonna visit, right? Because he said we're gonna be together again. So he's gonna like pop by, see what's progress.
That, or it's like the like when the dog, you tell the good dog to go away. You're like, get out of here, boy.
Get.
Fucking Harry and the Henderson.
I mean, I really hope you do see him again.
Oh, he's
I want
coming
to see.
back.
I want to see dodgy Mark Hamill again. And I will say this because this is a big controversy, quotation mark, on Twitter. People really wanted Sebastian Stan to be Luke Skywalker, and I'm gonna say it. I will take dodgy Mark Hamill CGI all the time, because you know, like I never thought I'd be in a situation where people were complaining that Mark Hamill was playing Luke Skywalker.
Yeah.
Yeah. I guess it depends what they want to do with him, because it made so much sense here because you had to have that build up and then the instant recognition he pulls the hood back. If it had been Sebastian Stan, you would have been like, sorry, what? And then, you know, like Cara Dune will have had to have gone, you're Luke Skywalker. I saw a hologram of you once. It just would have been really clumsy. So I feel like, well, right, they had to do the CGI for this. I think if they were going to do like a full, like a longer thing with Luke and maybe like go back for a few episodes to the training, then yeah, pop in Sebastian Stan. He looks close enough. Dye his hair, it'll be fine.
Yeah, I think it's an indicator of intent on usage. Because like if he was gonna, I think it's gonna be like that's not it's not sustainable tech for like a whole like series of arcs with Luke. I think it was very much just like, here's just your little bit. Because I think if it was gonna be this like long form Luke involvement, I think they would have picked someone they wouldn't have to like do too much work on.
Yeah, I definitely agree with that. I feel like I don't think there's many stories you can tell of I feel like if you're going to do a Luke Grogu story like that, it probably would be better to do animation, especially if they're using that technology they used to like de-age his voice, because I thought that was not too bad. So yeah, you never know. We might see him. I want to see Grogu in animation because I'm a sucker for that.
I really want, or I'm really hoping this is covered in the gallery thing coming on Christmas, because I'm just like really curious what they did to make this Luke and all the little behind the scenes. I want to see Mark in a studio doing dialogue. Like, I just want to see all that. So I hope that's part of the stuff, because I assume, I think, or I don't know if they've like confirmed or not, but it kind of seems like it's a one-off thing as opposed to like the 8-episode series that season
It
1
is
gallery was.
Yeah, it's a one-off, and Pablo basically confirmed this on Twitter. He said, this took place, like Mandalorian season 2 wrapped when COVID was happening.
Yeah, like it makes sense.
It's very unlikely that a lot of people were to sit in a room together.
Yeah, so much of the first one was round tables, and it's like, yeah, they're not making round tables this time. So
but also, a lot of season 1 of Gallery was explaining how they did this, and there's not really much more to add.
Right, stuff they don't need to read. Like, we know how the volume works now.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's definitely the case. That's why I hope it's like a lot of like set footage, especially with no roundtables. I hope there's just a lot of cool like behind the scenes. This is how we did these sort of like specific things.
I want to see Mark Hamill run away with a puppet of Grogu. Like, he's mine now. See you later. The thing that, if you know me, I absolutely adore this character. So yes, Luke Skywalker is one of my favorite characters, and yes, seeing the X-Wing was amazing. I love those two so much. But seeing R2-D2 was like, like, you didn't have to do it, but I'm so glad they did, because, and I might get shit for this, but that little snippet of R2-D2 in that Mandalorian episode was better than the entire sequel trilogy representation of R2-D2. Not the entire sequel trilogy in full. I mean, his role, R2-D2's role in this episode, was more substantial.
I disagree heavily. the Leia hologram.
The hologram scene was lovely.
It's this.
He didn't have a Grogu in that scene, Nicky.
No, we just had only Princess Leia.
That's true. But that's just the old email. This is a new boy, a new baby.
I guess, is that why R2 was there? Because it was like for the baby. It's like bringing in like a set of keys.
Yeah, that's why he left him on. He's like, look.
I'm just so like interested at how excited R2 was.
I know,
like,
right?
He's like, yay! I'm like, there's
another one, another Yoda.
Like, a greater than 0 chance that he might know this little guy.
That's true, because they're around at the same time, I guess, for the temple and stuff.
Are you hanging out in the same spots?
Yeah.
In the nursery, maybe he worked in the nursery.
That'd be awesome. That's a show. Nurseries of the Old Republic.
Yeah, he's just ferrying little kids around.
we had that a little bit with IG-11. I'm a nursery.
Oh,
yeah.
Okay, maybe I'm going too far with the whole sequel trilogy. I am being a bit flippant, but I did really like seeing R2, in
it
something,
just feels good
as opposed to being asleep for a film.
Yeah, no, I don't know how to like relate to people who are not into
I'm
seeing
so sorry.
R2-D2. This is one of like the base, like, it's like a base emotion. You see R2-D2, you feel good. Like, I don't know how it, like, people are like, oh, I can't believe they put R2-D2 in for nostalgia trip. I'm like, it's R2-D2.
It's like, yeah, with Rogue One, when people went, why is C-3PO there? I'm like, shut up. C-3PO and R2-D2, what are you talking about? They're
Yeah.
gonna be there. Well, the last thing we see, obviously, in the episode was a post-credit scene. Bib Fortuna in charge of Jabba's palace. Wasn't expecting to see him at all in this episode. Random as hell. Then we see, of course, Fennec come down, shoot everyone, free a slave, which is, a good day's deed. And then we see Boba Fett come down the stairs, shoot poor Bib Fortuna, played by Matt Wood for the first time since episode 1, which was pretty fun.
I love Bib's just shitty Bib being shitty Bib.
Yeah.
He's like, hey, Boba, my guy, what's up? What are you doing? Just the pure no fucks given by Boba Fett at Bib Fortuna. So good.
He's like, yeah, I want this chair now. This is my throne. Just so cool. And again, Ludwig's theme is just so good for Boba. Like dum 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 dum. You're like, okay, I could. This is a beat I could dance to.
That final shot is so good. Just the them. That is like every desktop background I want. Just them sitting there together.
And she has the spotchka, like,
Mm-hmm.
I'm gonna get wasted.
I have a question.
Yeah.
I might be misremembering or missing something. Salacious Bikram. Why wasn't he there?
We can actually address this now. It's like
Yeah.
without one person on the episode, we can actually talk about him.
Where's he at?
I think he survived. I think he's just chilling out somewhere else. I think he pieced out. It's like,
because Bib on the sail. Bib was on the sail barge, right?
yeah, he was.
So that means he got off.
Yeah, we know the majority of people that we thought were dead were, because we have Bib confirmed alive. We have Dengar confirmed turns into a weird cyborg guy in episode 9. We have Boba Fett, obviously. We have, if you count the holiday Lego special, Max Rebo, which I want to count.
If it makes you feel good, you can always count it.
I think Salacious survived. I think he's just chilling. I think he changed his heart. He's like, do you know what? This gig isn't working for me. I'll just go somewhere else.
Because look, if they're gonna do this storyline with Boba, there's got to be a Salacious episode.
Oh my God.
They meet up with him.
Claire's gonna go nuts. She is just gonna.
I love the idea of Salacious trying to like retake the palace himself, and he's like running through the rafters, like the Annie's boobs monkey in Community. Like that's just.
Oh my God.
That's just Salacious Crumb, like stealing pens and stuff, like and causing problems.
He's the Rancor. He's the new Rancor. They couldn't afford a new one, so they got a little Salacious Crumb.
That's what you end up with.
He pulls people's eyes out though. Like you think he's not a threat, but it's like Monty Python. He just jumps on you. I really hope he's okay. I don't know if you've seen Claire, our host Claire's like house. Everything is Salacious Crumb. She is
amazing.
A Salacious bee addict.
I love him. I've only got one. Wait, he's over here. I've got one.
Oh, bless.
He's my little buddy. I also love Salacious Bikram, so I've been very concerned about him.
I have to send you one of our shirts.
Yes, please. I would love that.
Can I send a link in the description?
And to think we thought we didn't have a Claire in this episode. we got a Salacious Crumb absolute stan here. So
and I've got my boy here. Look at him.
Yeah.
There we
go. But yeah, I think that's all we've got time for this season of Free Blurrgs.
Man,
pretty crazy, right?
I can't believe it's over. It went by so fast. It's like I was like wondering. I was like, did it go by faster because we were like doing content with it like every week, and like, does that make it feel faster?
Maybe.
And then it's just like, wow, 8 weeks gone. What do you know?
It does feel crazy, yeah. I think when this started, Trump was potentially going to be president again.
Are you claiming that there's like a link, like Din Djarin is responsible for Biden's win?
It's completely him, nobody else. Yeah, what a crazy time it's been.
I do have a little question before we wrap up. Now that we're on the topic of the Boba show, is Cobb Vanth gonna be in it?
Oh, he has to be.
I am so excited for that possibility.
Also, I wondered, you know how maybe they'll do this on the Lando show, but you know how they like never did anything with Crimson Dawn?
That's what I was going to say actually, because this feels very much like the Maul of it all, like how Maul became this.
Yeah, this is crime
Like-
crime world.
Crime world,
stuff.
yeah, shenanigans.
Yeah.
I feel like Maul, Boba is the new Maul of the original trilogy, post-original trilogy timeline, which I think is pretty fun to see.
Kira.
Yes, get
Kira.
just an aged up Amelia Clark to come in.
Oh, wouldn't that be cool?
That'd be absolutely.
still wanna-
funny.
I still want to see what happened to her and Maul.
Mhm.
Yes, I want to know. Sorry, this is off topic. The whole way through Solo, she's always like, I did something so bad. Oh my God, when you find out what I did, Han, you're going to be like, Kira, she sucks. The whole way through the movie. And then we like, it sounds like she murdered younglings and, or she did something really bad. And then we never find out what she did.
I almost don't know if it's like a single thing she did.
Yeah.
Right.
She makes it sound like it's a thing.
seem
Like,
like,
I
yeah.
did something real bad. Like, you know?
Mm-hmm.
I
Yeah.
killed Yoda. I did
I felt
it.
It's Seth
I felt it
MacFarlane.
was. I felt like it was a very like Black Widow, like read on the ledger kind of thing. Like
Oh, okay.
like she's just got this like stack upon stack of I've had to do crap a lot.
Okay,
That's how
maybe.
I felt at least. But I mean,
Maybe
yeah,
that's yeah. It
we
just
have
sounded
we
like
have
it was
a
one
we have
thing.
a whole universe to explore that. I hope I hope somebody picks it up because yeah, that'd be amazing.
I was gonna say she had to bathe Paul Bettany. That was the crime, but is that a crime for some people?
Find out in WandaVision.
Who knows?
That's the twist of WandaVision. It's actually a Star
That's the
Wars
key thread.
crossover.
The bathing episode. Will he malfunction in the bath? We'll find out. I think that's all we've got time for the season. Clarisse, do you want to plug all your stuff? Like, where can
What
people
about-
find you?
What about our best guy rating?
Oh, yeah. Whoops. Good point. That's the one thing we do every episode that I just happen to forget. Yeah, so we rate out of 10 Beskar. So what would we all give this? And I'll give up a generic. I'll try and round it up. I'm just gonna go for a 10 out of 10.
I'll go for a 9 because I guess the CGI could have been better,
Mm-hmm.
but it didn't bother me that much. So yeah, I'll go 9 to play safe.
Yeah. I'll make it very easy. Split the difference. Go with a 9.5. But yeah, like just I don't know. It's a 10, but it's like there's so much where I can't believe how good this episode was, how good this season was, because it was like I really enjoyed season 1. But like I remember being like, do I love it though? I don't know yet. I'm gonna need to see a little more. And this season, it hit the right notes for me. So I'm just really happy with it. And again, the fact that this episode was everything it was, and still we like the lasting image is of a crying Pedro Pascal, like leaving the bay. Like the fact that is the thing still stuck in my head, I think like is a testament to what it's done. And I think also like the way we celebrate Mark Hamill's acting with the Yoda puppet, like we're gonna be doing that with Pedro Pascal and the Grogu puppet, because
Definitely.
that stuff was unreal. Like how like it went right for it, and the face touching and the eyes and the like everything. Yeah, I just can't believe it. And yeah, bring on Book of Boba. Do it. I'll pour one out for the people who said they were wasting Ming-Na Wen, because now look at her now. She's leading her own show, leading her own show
And
with Tim
She's
Morrison.
gonna be in animated show as well.
And exactly, there you go. Ming-Na Wen
Or
supremacy.
Double the Ming-Na Wen. So
As
good.
if they were gonna waste her. Ridiculous notion.
I mean, it's Star Wars.
True.
It's like still not over Tally Newton.
Yeah, but I feel like the show with the TV guys are different, even though they're the same.
Yeah, 100%. Although I'm still convinced that her and all three fake their deaths because that makes no sense.
Yeah.
Like, guess I'm gonna have to die on this train. Peace out, everyone.
I mean, she's only
She
in
really
the script.
did peace out.
She's only in the script to die. Like her
Pretty
and Rio are there to die. Like that's basically all they
Yeah.
serve.
I love how he's like, wow, she really loves me playing this instrument. Anyway, let's go see Paul Bettany. Anyway, yeah, but I'm pretty. I agree with you. Hope a bit more respect for some of the characters in the show that don't happen to be men.
Hey.
You know, fingers tightly crossed. Yeah, Clarisse, where can people find you?
All of my stuff is on Twitter, which is just at Clarisse Loughrey.
Perfect. Well, I think that's all we've got time for this week and also this season. If you like this video, don't forget to like the video. I love saying that every time. Subscribe to our channel and hit the notification bell so you'll be the first to know when we have new content out. Don't forget you can also listen to the main show, the main podcast itself, on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, SoundCloud, and all major podcasting platforms. You can find us on Twitter at ImpSenatPod and on Instagram at Imperial Senate Pod. We also have a Discord and Twitch, and you can find the links to those as well as everything else on our official website, which is at imperialsenatepodcast.com. And finally, if you'd like to help support the show, you can do so by picking up some sweet swag from tpublic.com/user/the Imperial Senate Podcast, including our Salacious Be Crumb t-shirt.
Yes!
No one's ever really gone. Or by becoming a patron on our Patreon page. Thank you so much for listening. The Force will be with you always.